Hello and welcome to the Mindset and Mindfulness Podcast with me, your host, Sandy Powell.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. With me here is Mari Wuellner, and oh God, no, I lost my thing. Hold on. She's a feisty, multi-passionate entrepreneur who's dedicated to helping moms overcome their guilt and create a life that they adore. How wonderful is
Ooh,
that? I love that.
Thank you. Yes, we all deserve a life we adore. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me, Sandy.
Oh gosh, yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Absolutely.
Yes. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So I know I'm here to talk a little bit. No, not a little bit. Let's really dive all the way into mom guilt.
Yes.
But how I got there is I have multiple businesses. I have an insurance agency that I started in 2008. And within the insurance agency, I found that what I really love in selling insurance is great, but what I really love is coaching my team, is building my team up and coaching them every single week. And we would coach on selling. But then when my team would lead in and say, "Hey, I'm having a conflict with one of my roommates. Could you help me talk through a conversation I could have with them?" Or one of my team would come to me and say, "Hey, I'm really trying to figure out how to budget. Could you help me with that?" And so organically, I started coaching my team about personal stuff, about creating a life they adored outside of the business that they were in with me representing. And of course, I would post that on social media. Monday's my favorite day. I'm coaching. And because I was doing that, folks and women started coming to me. And this is like 10 years ago. "Oh my gosh, could you coach me? Do you coach other people?" And this is how my coaching practice evolved organically. And since I've been in it for 10 years, I've heard a lot of challenges, a lot of challenges. And because I'm a mom of three, I have a 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 14-year-old. Moms, moms are drawn to me for coaching and tips and help. And so one of the things that I kept hearing over and over again is this thing that's holding us back from pursuing our goals, going after our dreams, creating a life we adore, putting ourselves first, self-care, like name it all. And this thing that was holding us back was mom guilt. And I thought, let me lean into that. And we can go into the story about how I really did lean into that later. But that's what I'm here for right now is destigmatizing this conversation around the fact that mothers hold this misplaced guilt. I'm going to say that right off the bat, it's misplaced. That is really, really, really keeping us from a lot of things. And by talking about it, I think that it opens up your listeners to it inquiring within.
Mhm.
How is mom guilt affecting me? And that's it. That's number one. How is it affecting me? And do I want it to be different?
Right. Yes. Awareness is the start of everything.
It
Yes.
is. It is. Truly, truly.
Yes. Wow. Yes. It's such an important topic. And you're right. It affects everything, right? Like everything we do. And yes, it is a dream killer. It really is a showstopper, a dream killer. If you
It
hang on to it,
is.
right? If you don't deal with it.
Yeah. And Sandy, it's insidious. Like it is so deeply ingrained in our culture that sometimes we don't even know that that is the thing that's stopping us. And also unintentionally, moms are imposing this mom guilt on others, on each other.
Mhm.
It is so insidious. I recently posted something on Facebook where in the comments I got subtle shame. It's subtle mom shame. And it was a perfect example. A perfect example, and I can share the story if you'd like,
Sure.
of how mom guilt reigns in subtle ways, like a simple Facebook comment.
Yes. Yes. Can see it's everywhere. Like it really, yeah, it's just I feel like it's everywhere. Like you said, it's like the little things like I mean like how we were raised how moms
Mm.
or or women in general like we want to have it all right we evolved from the homemaker person where we had this responsibility of being there. That was the primary thing, and now
Oh,
we can
yeah.
whoever we want to be,
Mm.
right? But then we
Mm.
also have still the homemaker thing going.
Absolutely.
And,
That
like,
doesn't go away. And
exactly. And balancing the two, I think, we are also very hard on ourselves, of course, because, it seems like, oh, people are handling this and, we can do everything. And
nailed it. Seems like
yeah,
it
like, and
seems
it's so,
like everybody is handling
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah. And of course,
Nailed it.
the shiny thing everywhere, right? Like, oh, there's
And
like executive
it
mom, and there's like everybody makes it so much better. And oh my God, it's very,
yes.
it's everywhere.
In my research, one of the things that I uncovered was this wrestling with identity, becoming a mother. And I think we don't do it quickly enough because we don't even realize that we're going to need to have this wrestle with ourselves, because all of a sudden we go from, childless to mother at some point. And our identity is so steeped in the identity of being a mom. If we don't define at some point, and it doesn't have to happen right away. Like I said, I have a 22-year-old, he's my oldest. I'm still defining it. I'm still defining the type of mother I want to be. However, if we never do it, we will continue to be hard on ourselves because we will always be getting it wrong. And what you also, because we haven't defined it for ourselves, and so everyone else is going to tell us how we are doing it wrong, okay?
Yeah.
And what you also said is this comparison thing. And I think in that you nailed as well. This is the key. Until we identify who we want to be as a mother, we're constantly going to be comparing ourselves to Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok or what all those moms, and we're just not sure. We're not going to be sure. Am I doing it right? Well, if we haven't identified how I want to be, how I want to show up, then the answer will always be no. So as you mentioned from the top is awareness. Awareness, number one, and then decide for yourself. And then that's it. And then you get to be you with confidence.
Yeah. Yes, because there's so many options, right? Like, which parenting style am I going in? And am I doing,
Mm.
am I going to stay home with the baby or not?
Exactly.
Am I with a partner? Am I not?
Exactly.
How does this
And it
all look
changes.
like?
And
Exactly. It's
then
evolving, ever evolving too.
ever evolving. And then once you do that, you have given yourself permission to change.
Yes.
I mean, wow, that's one of the best permission slips you can give yourself. The type I the type of person or woman I was being, you know what? I think I'm gonna change things up a little bit with intention. And I'm gonna evolve. I'm in a new era.
Yes, yes, because you can always make a choice, right? Like, yes, this
Yeah.
is your book and you've written, all these chapters before and you can't change those, but you can always
Mm-hmm.
turn the page and be like, hey, I am the author of the story. I can,
Beautiful.
choose how the rest of the story goes. I can choose
Yes.
this next chapter. I can, be more intentional, like you said. I can choose
Yeah.
to be more present, maybe with the kid or my work or wherever my heart is
Yes.
leading me, right? Without the guilt.
I'm
I
so
can
glad you
choose to
mentioned that.
go full force. Yes.
I'm so glad you mentioned work because I think that that's where a lot of the guilt comes from. Is this insinuation or feeling that we have to give everything to to the people that we birthed or the people that we adopted or our step people, right? Our children. And I just want to also say like they come in being a mom comes in many different forms. And so work is huge. There's so much mommy guilt around pursuing a side hustle. I mean, this is a great example, Sandy. Right now, you are 100% on this podcast. You are dedicating everything to your listeners, and you are being 100% present for us right now, and we appreciate you. And who are you not being present for right now?
My God.
And that's okay because you've decided. And guess what? Then we're going to counterbalance. I have a feeling that right after this show, you're going to go hang out with her. Yeah?
Oh, yes. The
This
trampoline
is the
park, baby.
permission. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Yes. And so work is a huge one. And I think that just talking about this is like, yep, I know it feels a little awkward to be putting a, screen in front of the kid for an hour and saying mommy's going to go work on her passion. And it's okay because it's with intention.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've wrestled with that too,
Mm,
actually. And every now and then it really pops up again, especially when she's all like, oh, but mommy, and
yep.
and she's
Yeah.
clinging to me, right? And I am standing there, or like my husband is looking at me like,
Yeah. Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you really have to,
Yep.
But then I'm like, oh my gosh, but I love this. I love this so much. I know
Mm.
this is my how to. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I want to talk about these things and I want to show up, like you said, with intention. I want to be here too, because that fills my cup up too. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And what you just highlighted is you can have both. You
Yes.
cannot have both simultaneously. You cannot have your daughter on your hip and be on the podcast. I mean, maybe, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge,
I was gonna
right?
say it would be a total different thing.
Maybe. And we can have both. It just might not be simultaneously,
Yes. And
right?
okay, we choose. We can do the building blocks of our
Mhm.
day.
And I want to let's circle back. Okay, first, can I circle back to a couple things you said?
Oh, yes.
You just said, still feel that. And I want all of your listeners to soak that in because this is a vulnerability that is key for this conversation. If we're in a conversation with someone who's like, oh, I don't feel mom guilt anymore, like, you know what? I want you to step out of that one because it's probably not safe because they're going to impose how you should be doing it. Okay. Okay. So Sandy just really, really demonstrated vulnerability, which was key. Then the other thing that Sandy said was, Mom, your daughter hanging on your leg, Mommy, Mommy, don't go. And your partner, do you really have to? Being aware of where it's coming at you is part of the study
Mhm.
because it comes at us in ways that your daughter and your husband or partner did not mean to. They did not mean to do that. However, it's cultural. And it's a way that it gets to us. So it can get to us from our kids, from our partner, from our parents, from our friends, from our boss, from social media. Help me out if anything is coming up.
Neighbors. Yeah.
Neighbors.
Anybody in your circle, right? Yeah.
It is.
Could
It
be
is
the
this
stranger at the grocery store
bingo. Yeah.
that just pointed out something you're
Oh,
not doing the
oh,
right
you're
way.
you're really gonna give her a lollipop at 4 before dinner? Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. So this whole awareness is bigger than just the self-imposed guilt that we have. We've got to be aware of oh, that comment, and I'm going to keep coming back to my Facebook post because it was so subtle. If you'd
Mhm.
like me to, I'm going to tell that story because I think it's important.
Mhm.
So my kids, as I mentioned, are older and two are in college, and one of them was home, but they were both home for Thanksgiving break. One left on Saturday and the other one was leaving on Sunday. I live about an hour and a half from the airport, and with traffic, it could be 2 hours, it could be a long nightmare mess. And so I didn't want to drive my daughter to the airport. I was like, honey, I don't want to bring you to the airport. Like, I'm exhausted after Thanksgiving. We hosted everybody. I'm going to put you on the airport shuttle. And it's just a bus that takes her to the airport. It's so easy. She can just put her earbuds in and do homework or do whatever. So I posted on social media a picture of her walking to the airport shuttle. And I said, I don't drive my big kids, I don't drive my kids to the airport. I have other things I want to do. I didn't say better. I did not say better. I said, I have other things I want to do, like read, rest, take a tub. And I also continued my post and I said, this is just your reminder that as we continue the holiday season, that it is okay to take time for yourself and not bend over backwards for everyone, including the babies, the big babies. Sandy, Sandy, the comments that I got were so subtle shame. There was so much subtle shame in there. It was like, whoa, this is a great example of how mom guilt is so sneaky. The first comment I got was this it was like, like she really wrote, well, you could have seen this as a great opportunity to spend some extra time with your daughter. What? Okay, here's the deal. I am pretty damn happy with how I parent, and I wasn't asking for how you think I could be a better mom. What this was a subtle shame. It was like, you're not doing it right. Let me tell you how to do it better.
The other thing too is, just be like, I think maybe what she was thinking or referring to is like, quality, like having more time doesn't necessarily mean you have more quality time. Do you know what I mean? Like quantity over quality kind of thing. Because just because you're sitting there with her, putting yourself back and things like
Yeah.
that, and then you're just sitting, maybe you're arguing or whatever. Maybe you guys had the perfect Thanksgiving. I mean, right? You had enough time. You already said everything there's to say. You were, partying, amicably, you know what I mean? Happy. You're good. So then you don't need that extra time,
And
right?
here's the coolest thing about it is like that woman who commented that, I have like compassion in my heart because whenever you comment something like that, it's more about the commenter than who
Yeah.
she's directing it towards. And if that is her jam, go be that mom. That's perfect then. Like I said, how you parent is perfect as long as it's with intention. It's perfect, but what you don't have to do is tell me how I'm doing it wrong. That's the mom guilt. That is what we need to watch out for. And if I wasn't studying mom guilt, I would have been like, oh no. Oh my gosh,
Get that extra time.
all these people are thinking that I'm a bad mom. Well, guess what I feel about that? Fine. Because I know I'm doing fine, right?
Yeah.
Look, so this is what I mean. It can come from so many different ways. And this is why this conversation is so important because I have a feeling, Sandy, by you sharing your stories here on this amazing podcast and me sharing that one story, your listeners are going, oh my gosh, I remember this one time. Oh my gosh, I remember this one time. And when we start doing that, irregardless of what we did, did we succumb to the mom guilt? Did we succumb to the shame and change our ways? Now we get to step back and say, do I want to do it different next time? That's the whole thing. Like you said, it's a chapter in a book. I'm gonna turn the page. Do I want to do it different? Actually, no, I liked how I did that. Or I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it up.
Yes, but that's also where the identity piece comes in because once you are rooted in what you are doing, you're confident in what you're doing, you have decided this is why I'm doing this way, then everything else falls away. Whether your neighbor likes you or not, it doesn't matter, or that person in the grocery store or your boss, whoever it is that makes the comment, you can be rooted in that and be like, hey, that's my choice. And I've made that, right? And I can sleep well at night.
Beautiful. Absolutely. 100%.
Yes.
100%. And the thing is that I think we would all agree with is life is moving at like a rapid pace,
Mhm.
a rapid pace. And so the invitation that I bring to all my clients is like to slow your roll for a second. Let's slow your roll for a minute and ask ourselves the identity, right? Just continue to touch in and ask ourselves, like, am I confident? Am I confident? Because that's what you said is like once you're rooted and confident in your identity, am I? That's the question. And if not, guess what? That's fine. That's absolutely fine because we get to just like be curious and try different things. And but the slowing down I think is critical.
Oh, yes. Yes. Because when you're on the fast train, right? Everything going by is fast and blurry. You can't see nothing. So you got to bring it to a stop and then have a look around. Is this where I want to be? Or is it
That's
not?
right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Choose a different direction if it is
Yeah.
not. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, like I said, be curious. You don't have to know, but the willingness to explore, to be curious, to be the explorer, adventurer, and just kind
Yeah.
of, what do I like? Do I like
That's
those
right.
posts and comments on Facebook? What does my ideal look like? Right?
Yes.
So you don't
Absolutely.
just have to accept whatever there is or whatever you
Mm-hmm.
incorporated so far just from seeing it, but really diving
Yeah.
in. Like, is this truly, and really remind yourself that the pictures are always prettier, right? Like just that post, right? That was the snapshot, and that is what that person wants you to see. That does not
Yeah.
necessarily mean this is what it is. And no person is perfect and happy and
Mm-hmm.
awesome all the
Mm-hmm.
time, right? We all have our struggles, we all have our
Yeah.
moments, where we lose our shit with our kids. It's just
Yeah.
what it is.
Yes, and I want to say, like, I think one of the reasons that makes it so, like, makes me the perfect person to study mom guilt is because I had my kids so young. And this was pre-Facebook when I had my first. It was pre-social media. Um, and so that whole thing, and also, and so there's two things that I benefited from. with this mom guilt thing is I was the first one of my gen, all of my friends to have kids. So I didn't have any other like mommy friends in my group to compare myself to, which was also very hard. Okay, let's just also say that that was like quite challenging. I dropped out of college. All my friends, didn't. And so, however, 23 years later, I'm able to be like, oh my gosh, that was quite a gift when it comes to this mom guilt stuff. Also, is not having social media was huge.
Mm.
I did not have to um, be afraid to leave the house looking a certain way because there were cameras everywhere, right? And it was the fear of being posted or seen not in a perfect light, which is, I think, what social media has,
Mm.
I don't know, has made us all believe is that everybody is perfect and is happy and isn't losing their shit on their kids. And I'm so grateful that I went through the first couple years of parenting without the social conditioning that we have now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, yes. That's so true. Yeah, because it's like a constant reminder. It's like a constant thing where you have to check yourself. Oh,
Yeah.
that's her. That's not me. She can do that. It's the same
Mhm.
with me in posting pictures, right? Like I
Mhm.
have the presence, or the social media presence of my daughter comes down to one
Mhm.
picture. Like it does not say that I gave birth to my daughter. And for the longest time, like people on Facebook didn't even know that I have a daughter, right? Until I
Yeah.
posted like last year, I think I posted like
Wow.
one picture of us,
Hmm.
and then people were like going wild. Oh my God, you have a daughter. How old is she? She goes to school. What? you know? And I'm like,
Whoa.
yes. Because that
Okay.
is something that me and my husband, we agreed. We decided on
Yeah.
that is not the type of parent we want to be. We don't want to,
Mm.
have everything on social media, and we want to
Yep.
kind of protect our daughter
Yeah.
from too much of that.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I've got some feedback there too, of course, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right.
well,
Yes.
whoever wants to see a picture, you can text me. You can say, hey, send me some pictures of
Beautiful.
Sophie, how is she doing? And I'm like, hey, the phone works. We can always have a FaceTime call,
Beautiful.
whatever it is. But I don't, have everything on social media about my daughter because I just don't believe in that.
That's
I
so
don't,
great. That's so great. And I'm different. And so that neither of us are doing it quote unquote right, but we're doing it right for us.
I was going to say, we do what
Beautiful.
works for us.
Yes. What
And
I
there is
love,
no right or wrong way. There's a lot of gray in between. Like that's why it's like a buffet. You choose which one,
yeah.
what do you want to take, how much you want to take,
Yes.
which serving and stuff. It's all, yeah, so many different styles, so many different ways you could do it. So do it the way you feel like works for you and your family, not just you, but really.
Yep. What I love about that story too is that you were on social media and you still had an identity out there. You still had Sandy on social, and some of those people didn't even know that you were a mom. And how curious,
Mm.
because I think once we become a mom, that becomes our whole identity. And I think it is so cool to ask ourselves like, if I take that title, that role just out of my own personal bio, who
Mm.
am I? Who is Sandy? Who is Mari? Who am I? If I just took that out, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a writer, I'm a coach, I'm a traveler, you know? It's just an interesting exercise that you organically did on social media. It was very intentional, but the way people saw you, that was organic.
Yes. Yes, but that's so important. Like I really have to, yeah, that was something I struggled with too. Like, because for a long time, yeah, I was there. I was just a mom too. And I was like, oh no, I know I love to pieces. Okay. I love being a mom. I love my daughter. And I really love my role as a mom.
Mm.
But there's so much more of me. And
Yeah.
I had to spread out and I had to kind of push back on that and be like,
Yeah.
okay, like I am here for her, especially, that first year or whatever.
Yeah.
I went deep, but then I really, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm ready. Like, and I think it's important for my daughter to show her that becoming a mom isn't the end of me, of my
Hmm.
dreams, of everything that I've built, but
Yeah.
more so a continuation. It's a it's
Yeah,
different, right? And we're building something together. And I really want to show her that, yes,
absolutely.
it's a
And
struggle here and there,
I
but it continues. Go.
I think that's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, but and I also want to just take a pause for the listeners who have older kids like me who have made their kids everything for 20, 10, 20 years. I want to just say like, hey, in my research, I have talked to hundreds of moms just like the moms who put their babies first because they thought that's what they were supposed to do, okay? And so I want to because you're doing it early. If you are later, like if you have older kids, it is not too late. It is absolutely not too late. What I coach some women on is once they become empty nesters, they completely lose their identity because their identity left the home. And so we get to then figure out what the identity is after the fact, but what you're doing is before the fact, and that's beautiful. So no matter where the listeners are, there is still time to figure out who you are and what you want. One of the stories that came from the research was a mom of an older daughter who is of childbirthing age herself. And the mom that I was interviewing was telling me how she literally lived her life 100% for her daughter. She was at everything. All of her money went to her daughter. All of her time and her energy and her focus went into her daughter. 100%. That's all she did. And recently, the woman that I was interviewing asked her daughter, "Do you plan on having children?" And her daughter said, "No, no, I don't want to lose myself to someone else." Because that is what her mother did. Her mother modeled the image that becoming a mom means you lose everything about yourself. And her daughter saw that. And her daughter then internalized the belief that in order to be a mother, I have to give everything about myself away. And so it was just a very vulnerable and beautiful story that captures the essence of what you just said is that we're teaching our kids what it means to be a parent along the way. And whether as long as you're doing it with intention, it's fine. And giving everything of yourself away, is that really what we want? Is that really what we want? And if it is yes, then keep doing it. But also, uh, there could be ramifications in the long run as well.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's why there are so many people that also choose not to have children because exactly of that. They are afraid. Yeah, they don't want to lose. They don't believe they can have both. They
Right.
have
Because it's not
not
modeled.
seen, yeah, they have not
Yes.
seen that as a possibility. And that's why they're like, no, I have these aspirations. This is me and I want to go there. This is the only way I see. If I have
Beautiful.
that,
Yeah.
that child, that's
Mm.
gonna derail me. And it's true. Let's be real. It is true. It will derail things,
Mm.
but it's
Hmm.
not that you can combine the two. You just
Mm.
have to figure out how that best waves together in a way that works for you,
Yeah,
right? Whether
absolutely.
you are still traveling or whether you are still working, whether you have more than one, and how, there's so many different ways. You just choose how that works for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can have it
absolutely.
all. You just have to focus, on how I'm gonna, yeah, what is it that I truly want? What do I want in my life? And how do I go about getting it?
Hmm. Hmm. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think that there there are times, right, when you can't have it all. So, there are times when our kids, as they grow up, they go through periods and phases of really effing up or really struggling and really needing parents to step in and be more available. And at that moment, things like the podcast might go on hold or the side hustle or happy hours with the friends, and that's an okay thing too, right? Because what we're deciding in that moment is to 100% focus on getting our child through bullying or poor grades or whatever. There's so much struggle, And let's also like give permission slips to moms for that as well.
Yeah.
Because also what you see on social media is everybody doing everything. Like, oh my gosh, it's like you can do it and have it all. And there's periods and times where it is, I believe, very important to be hyper focused
Mhm.
on the littles in the house. And
Yeah.
then once we get them up to wherever they, you know, feel stable, we can then swing our attention back to other stuff, other things.
Yes, yes, that's so true. And I mean, it's happening every, I don't know, either in the weeks, during the months, right? Like
Yeah.
you take your time, for a birthday or whatever, right? You celebrate
Mm,
that birthday with that child. You try to be fully present there, and then whatever you take more time for the podcast or your work,
mm.
and then someone is sick, right? You have to jump in and help your elderly parent, your husband,
Right.
whoever, right? Life is about trying to go with the flow, with the challenges, flow with it. And yes, you're trying to choose, all the
Mm,
good things about, but that doesn't mean there isn't challenges that, like you said, where we have to
yeah.
adjust and course direct and give our attention to that focus area.
Right.
Definitely.
Great examples because I think that that might be one of the reasons why there is a burnout epidemic with women right now is the attempt to take care of aging parents and simultaneously do all the other things. And you get to bed at night at midnight and you're waking up at 5 every day and you're absolutely exhausted. And we started this podcast with my desire is that women adore their lives when they wake up in the morning. It's like I've created something that I absolutely love. Yes, there's going to be times of challenge, but I believe that this social media stigma or like the way it looks is that we can do it all the time, and that is leading to burnout.
Yes. And that's why people feel the guilt. Like, how can they all do it and I
Yeah.
can't?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, but that's also part of, where the mindfulness comes in, where you like really take stock. Oh my gosh, where am I? I am feeling exhausted. And yes, there will be moments, when there's, I don't know,
Mm.
a person in the hospital and you visit there all the time. And yes,
Yeah.
where you kind of, I don't know, have a really stressful week with not enough sleep, right? But then also checking yourself, checking in and be like, okay, hey, I've done this for a week, but now I really need to, I don't know, let my brother
Mm.
take over or find some time to, take a
Yeah.
walk, get some extra rest or something
Hmm.
so that you don't do the burnout, right? Like,
Yeah. And I love giving, simple tips. And I think in that moment, I would encourage the listeners to think about who can help them.
exactly.
Uh, we don't have to do it all, and there is so many ways that we can get help that does not diminish our worthiness or like how good of a mom or good of a woman we are, right? There's people who can cook for us. And here's the deal about hiring someone to help us cook or clean or do laundry or that sort of thing. Those folks, usually women, created a business doing something that they love. Okay?
Mhm.
So by asking them for support and help and paying them, you are now supporting another woman business owner. This is not a acknowledgement or like I don't know that I can't do it all. This is like another way to help other women create their favorite lives. Can you ask your partner to help? Is there a carpool situation that you're not taking advantage of? You do not have to sit and watch the practice. Can you take a walk, right? How can you ask for help in small little ways to alleviate some of the pressure and the load off of our shoulders? So that is one of the tips that I would recommend to everybody is asking for help. And then the other side of that, Sandy, is receiving help.
Yes. Ask.
Women want to help each other.
Yes.
You guys, we know this. We know this. We love, I mean, we've delivered meals to people who just have babies. We have, picked a kid up from school. And we love it. I love helping. And so, like, also by receiving help, we are giving a gift to the person who is helping us.
Yeah. Yes. And not, yeah, like asking for help is not weakness and receiving it
Mm,
is not weak either. Yes, because
yeah.
there's plenty of people who want to support but
Yeah.
never ask for help.
That's
Yes.
right. That's
And
right.
then, yeah, they're struggling all by themselves. So yes, your permission slip, like you so said. Yes, please, please ask, look for options really to support you. And yes,
Absolutely.
there's no problem. And yeah, and there's so many people that hate laundry and hate cooking, right? If that's something that's you, right? And we want to create a life, that is more you, where that you love, then there's no
Yep.
shame in, asking someone else to take on that role. And if it's not a husband or a partner or whoever, then maybe outsource this to someone that
Yeah.
actually likes doing it. And like she
Yes.
said, you support that person by paying them, right?
Yep.
You might help
And
them
also,
raise their kids
I mean, kids can help too,
too. Yes, that's
kids
what I'm saying.
kids can help too. Another little tip that I want to make sure that I circle back to is we talked a lot about awareness. And that is, I think, something that we hear often. Like it all starts with awareness, but it's like, how, right? Okay. Mindfulness, yeah. How? How do we do these things that the people on these shows are asking us to do? And I created a survey. Now, this is a research survey to help me understand mom guilt better, help me get the numbers, the statistics of where mom guilt starts, how it affects our lives, et cetera, et cetera. But a byproduct of taking this survey is actual awareness, because the questions that are in the survey force us to take a step back and ask ourselves, and to really go within and think, when was the first time I noticed mom guilt show up in my life? What was the first experience? Or is mom guilt affecting me? Da, 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 da. And so I will make sure that Sandy has a link to that survey. It's a huge favor to me, and it's a great way to start with your own personal awareness.
Yeah. Yes, that's so great. I'm so glad making that available to listeners.
I would appreciate it too. I think that the more stories that I receive, the more stories I'm able to share, the more statistics that I collect, the more I am able to get out into the world, because there are a lot of folks that I've talked to, men, who are like, mom guilt? Yeah, right. That's like, yeah, that doesn't happen in my house. It's wild. The response, I spoke at a real estate event to real estate investors, and I'm a real estate investor as well, and I was talking about specifically about mom guilt. And it was so interesting, after I was done presenting, this gentleman like beelined for me. I was like, whoa. So I must have like really had an impact. And he's like, dads have guilt too. And I thought, you are exactly the reason we struggle with this, because what you're saying is I'm not allowed to get up and have a dialogue about the struggles that moms have, because dads feel it too. There's got to be a bro out there talking about that. But let me tell you what, moms carry invisible workload that you do not. You do not carry the invisible workload that I do. Now, I'm not talking about single dads, right? I'm not talking about, two dad situation, because someone's going to be carrying the load there. However, I'm going to trigger folks when I talk about mom guilt. And that is why I need the statistics, so that when bro comes up to me and is like, we don't have mom guilt in our family, I'd be like, based on the 1,000 moms that took my survey, 98% of them do experience mom guilt. Where's your numbers?
Yeah, let's get your wife in here, shall we?
Let's get your wife in here, shall we? Yes, ma'am.
Because you wouldn't be able, I'm sure she would have a different tune.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. So the numbers and the statistics and the surveys help me immensely. And then also, I really, truly believe, help the participants as well.
Yes. I know. I'm gonna do it.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Yes. No, it's important. And like you said, having some more numbers, having the awareness, and having some, support to show to change makers, lawmakers, whoever is asking for proof, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Bigger in numbers, the more change we can do too.
That's right. That's right.
And I think that's where we wanted to head by talking about this, right? Not just, of course, with the
Yes.
individual level, but at some point, hopefully it will spread out and really there's some, national, global change, right?
Yeah,
About this.
absolutely. And even like you said, Sandy, I still feel it. And I want to make sure that I'm not missing that point, is that mom, I don't think that this will never go away. This is not an invitation to eradicate mom guilt. I do not think that that is possible. And also, I want to say that I don't want that to be the case anyway, because guilt is a great emotion when it's not misplaced. Okay. With feeling badly that your kid is in pajamas all day and you feel guilty about that, that's misplaced mom guilt. Okay. Like let your kids be in pajamas all day. However, if you do something, right? Because we all do as moms, we all do something that we're like, oh, I feel a bit guilty about that. But yelling, right? Like let's say we have like a yelling match or something like that. And they're like, oh, I feel a bit guilty about that. That is correct guilt. Because what that says is I did something. Don't feel great about that. It doesn't align with my values. I'm going to make some change. That is okay. So we're not trying to eradicate mom guilt. We're just trying to get some awareness to where like, oh, I feel guilty. Yep. Yeah. Shouldn't have said that to my daughter. I'm gonna go remedy that and change my ways.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you see the guilt as an invitation to double check, is it, valid or is it not? Then it is a good feeling. It's a good reminder. It's like, your note, check your guilt. Like you have like this sticky note because you felt it and you're like, okay, let me think about this. Why am I guilty? Why am I feeling
Yes.
guilty? Is it is it a thing that I should actually, look into, or is it just something that's just no, like I don't need to feel guilty about that.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And like we've been saying this whole time, like we're not perfect. We'll never be perfect. And so if we can figure out what that guilt is telling us, we can then do better next time. That's it. That's
Yes.
literally it. Yes, recently Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, we had everybody over and there were some comments made that were kind of derogatory about one of the kids in the room. And the next day, and I felt kind of guilty. I'm like, ooh, should I have in that moment, should I have like spoken up and said something? My kids are adults. I didn't. But I wanted to make sure, I felt kind of guilty, but I wanted to make sure that I was doing right by my child the next time. So the next morning I said, hey, remember when that comment was made? Would you have liked me to do anything differently? And they said, nope, 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 totally fine. There we go. Felt
Oh,
something happened, felt a little guilty, went to my baby, don't need to change.
yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Seeking the communication.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's really good too. And I just wanted to put out there one more time. I think that's a little bit with the guilt too. There are no bad feelings. There are no bad feelings. I
Mm.
know guilt has also a bad rap, just like with the anger and everything, grief and things like there's so many feelings that have the bad
Mm.
rap. But again, if you see it as an invitation to just kind of check in, there's nothing bad about it. The bad
Absolutely.
connotation is you spiraling and misplacing it.
There
Yes.
you go. Perfectly said.
Oh my goodness. Awesome. Oh, I think we touched on so many awesome things, and I'm really excited for that survey. So yes, if you send that link, and I'm sure to put it in the show notes.
I will. Thank you so
Yes.
much. This has been, like I said before we hit record, we could talk for hours. Is this what
Yes.
I love to do? I love to hear stories. So, for any of your listeners, when I started talking about this mom guilt stuff, people were in my DMs, like, and they still are like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Please get in my DMs. Tell me your stories. I want to hear. Let me be your permission slip. Let me support you. Find me on Instagram. I love these conversations. So I cannot thank you enough, Sandy, for having me on your show.
Yes. Yes. No, I love it. Definitely. So how can they find you? Where you are on Instagram? That's
Yep,
just go
Instagram,
to
and
the
I'll
link.
make sure that you have
Yes.
that
I'll put
link,
it in the
and
show
then
notes.
the survey is a great way to start.
Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Everybody who wants to get started on this and let a bit of the guilt, of the weight of the guilt, shed that, then let's get started. And let's start to
Absolutely.
continue the conversation.
There we
Yes.
go.
Also, you can comment on the show if there's anything else you would like us to discuss. Maybe we could have a round two.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
I have stories for hours because of all
I'm
the
sure.
like the hundreds of women who have filled out the survey. I have stories for hours. So yes, I would love round two anytime.
Well, thank you again for your time, and thank you for this wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sandy.
Oh my gosh, ladies, how amazing was this episode with Mari? Wow, mom guilt. Yes, such an important topic. And I really, really loved the different, situations we shed some light on. Please tell me what you thought about the episode, and if there's any questions that you have or any comments, anything that snuck out to you. Are you gonna take the survey that I put in the notes? Yeah, please let me know. And if you have any questions or would like to discuss anything or would have me to, bring her back and discuss more, I would really, really love to hear from you. I love to hear your stories. What stories can you share about mom guilt? How has it affected you? Were you able to make a shift? Yeah, please let me know in the comments. I really love to hear from you. And I hope you enjoyed this episode and you found it helpful. If not, let me know what we can change. How could it be even more helpful to you? Thank you as always for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.